In today's Cubase quick tip, I'm going to talk about the different sample trigger modes or loop modes in Groove Agent. Okay, so there's two main trigger modes that you want for samples. The first one is mostly for normal drum samples, which is called Oneshot. And what that does is whenever the pad or sample is triggered, it plays that sample out in full, regardless of the length of the MIDI note that's assigned to that pad. So for instance, with let's say a kick here, I don't ever really want an instance where it's playing just some of this sample and then cutting out and stop playing. Um, so I'm going to leave this one on Oneshot. And if I was to do, let's say, no loop, it's cut short to however long the note is. So let me pull C1, I believe it is. Let's play this. As we shrink the MIDI note, you can hear it starts to cut off the sample quite a bit. So the other thing to keep in mind is I don't want to have to worry about the length of my notes. If I'm doing, let's say here, I have a drum map in Cubase, and I want to create a drum map from the instrument, which is from Groove Agent. Now whenever I open this up, it has the drum map editor as opposed to the keyboard editor, and then I can use just this drumstick to draw in the drum notes as opposed to drawing lengths of MIDI notes. So that's what I want for most of my drums. That's perfect. Or samples that have a certain loop or a sample of let's say a vocal sample that's a certain length and I always want it to play in full, I'll just use the Oneshot mode and that's all I need. Okay, so for a loop sample like this one here, just a normal percussion sample, I can trigger it with the Oneshot. That's probably not what I want though, because I probably want it to stop at some point. And I would then maybe go, let's say, with no loop. So now it's going to play for as long as I hold down the note. And if I stop it, that's good. But maybe I want it to play continuously and looping. So the no loop would not suffice in this sense. I would then go to something like continuous or until release. Now let's pull this operation manual guide here. This is if you open up here and go to help, that's the PDF help thing that you read, the manual. There we go. And here it states that the loop is played even if you release the note. I don't really know what that means because when I push the note and release the note, it stops playing. So I have no idea how continuous differs from until release, because they're doing the same thing. So I don't know. But that's the other mode, is continuous or until release. Once the sample has played in full, it just continues through the loop. And right now the loop is set up to be the entire sample. If, let's say, I went to something more like this, it would play starting from the start of the sample. Once it reaches the loop set area, it then starts to loop in this little loop mode, and once I release it, it just stops playing. Now, continuous, what I would assume, or even until released, it says the loop is played for as long as the note is held, and then continues to the end of the sample. Now, again, that's what is written. I play the note, it's doing the loop, and I let go, and then it just stops. So I don't know what's going on with that. Maybe that's just like a bug in this version of Groove Agent or in Cubase or something, but it also doesn't work when you're in this pattern section in Groove Agent. So I don't know what the heck is going on here. But okay, so now the other cool thing is you have this alternate mode, which is it's going to start from the beginning of the sample. Once it reaches the loop, it plays through, and then it starts to do in reverse, and it bounces back like a ping pong. So that's pretty cool. And then again, alternate until release. Just it doesn't do what it says it's supposed to do in this manual here. But neither here nor there. I just wanted to point that out. So now, because this is relevant, I'm going to walk through this loop section. Usually you're choosing between one shot, no loops, or some type of loop. When you are in the loop section, something that's handy to keep in mind is this little button here and this button. So if I'm, let's say, trying to keep this loop section in time with the rest of the sample, when I click this button, it actually displays what the sample looks like in relation to the other part of the loop. So if I also click this button, actually this one here, I think, yeah, so here this button zooms into the length of the loop that you've selected. This one zooms out to the full length of the sample. You can see here it's not actually lining up. So when it's looped, it's kind of showing the loop pasted over the original sample. So now when I adjust these sections here, you can see it's actually tightening up the loop. So now it's going to be like almost perfectly in time with itself. The loop is going to be perfectly in time with the sample. So now when I play you can hear it's pretty much bang on. That's something handy to keep in mind. The other thing is once I have the loop set up like this, I kind of don't need this. I may want to know what it looks like when it's just continues to play on, and then I can click this button, the X, and then when I go to, let's see here, I'll just zoom in a little bit. So now you can see here's the loop, and then it's copy pasting a version of that loop after it. So now beforehand, I don't see anything in regards to the loop, how it shows up once it's looping, or how it's supposed to look, or how it plays out. Here it displays it pasted on top of itself, but once I line it up, I probably don't need that. And then here I actually see it, the actual sample and then the loop on its own pasted right after it. So I can get a decent view and understanding of what's going on with the sample and with the loop, and what it looks like in the audio form. And once you're happy with your loop, you can set up crossfades. The crossfades are actually draggable right here. So you can set the loop crossfades like that, and so on and so forth. But that is all. I wanted to mention all these trigger modes. Someone had posted a question about them, and I figured it's a good thing to get to know what the standard format of trigger modes are and how you can use these in your production. So thanks for watching. Take care, and bye-bye.